All right, let's talk about it. We're talking about New Orleans, the Pelicans. So let's first talk about the Pelicans and the trade they made recently, and let's review it. So the Pelicans had traded Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, to the Memphis Grizzlies for Jonas Valanciunas. They also swapped picks, and then I think later picks as well. I think it was like 41 and then like 50. But then the big headline as far as the trap picks go was Memphis now has number 10, and New Orleans has fallen back to 17, which I feel like they could still get a good player in. But, player-wise, I actually think New Orleans won that trade, but maybe not in the long term. I think that New Orleans probably has a couple more moves to make. There's a lot of talk about Kyle Lowry, but let's talk about what that trade did to open up some space for the Pelicans. So a lot of the reporting comes with the team saying, we need, like, going into the offseason, even before the trade happened yesterday, like, if you knew anything about the Pelicans, you knew they needed to get rid of the contracts of Adams and Bledsoe. They've now freed up more cap space for themselves because James Johnson's off the books. Lonzo Ball is technically off the books. Josh Hart is off the books. Now, I think they would like to get those two last players in Lonzo and Hart. I think they would like to re-sign them, but I don't think they're as married and as in love with Ball as Kyle Lowry. It's like David Griffin is on the record now as saying, like, Lowry is like, that he's envisioning Lowry as like the Chris Paul move of this upcoming offseason. So it will be interesting to see what happens there. Valanciunas brings a floor spacer for Zion, and I think that's a good fit for them, or for him and for the Pelicans just overall. The Zion Williamson is super interesting. Obviously he had health issues a little bit in his first year. Last year he exploded. Are we going to see a third year leap from Zion? I think we will. Hopefully he kind of works with the team a little bit better as far as just being a good defensive player, becoming a better defensive player, and then also just maximizing his potential just overall. There's reports that were saying, like, Jackson Hayes, Kira Lewis, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, all of them are guys that apparently David Griffin is really high on. Like, there was the report that came out from Jacques about them trying to get Jacques Vaughn as the head coach instead of Willie Green, which, by the way, Stan Van Gundy being out of New Orleans is a huge deal because it was the best decision that New Orleans could make. I'm not a hater of Stan Van Gundy. I just believe that he just wasn't the guy for this team. Going into Kira Lewis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, there's a report that said that Jacques Vaughn, when he was being interviewed for that position of being the head coach of the Pelicans, that David Griffin had mentioned, we want to play Alexander Walker and Kira Lewis. Like, those guys, we want to play them moving forward. And in my mind, I'm kind of just like, you want to play those guys instead of Lonzo? Like, I'm not a huge Lonzo fan. I just think he gets kind of crapped on a little bit too much. So that'll be interesting to see if, the bringing in of Lowry, does that make it so, there's still a good amount of minutes that go around to Kira Lewis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Maybe. But it's interesting to me that they would essentially lose that pick that they got from the Lakers because that's going to Memphis. They would lose Lonzo, and they would lose Josh Hart. So all those pieces are gone. And the only thing that they kind of get from it is all-star Brandon Ingram, which is good, but I don't know if Pelicans fans would be it would be world shattering for them to lose Ingram in a trade or anything like that. But then Valanciunas and Lowry, is that a core that's going to beat some good teams in the West? We're talking Utah, even Denver, an injured Denver next year, an injured Clippers next year, a Lakers team, Phoenix will be back. Does Dallas retool and does Portland retool around Damian? There's the Warriors. There's so many teams is this starting five, let's just say hypothetical here, is a hypothetical starting five of Lowry, let's say Alexander Walker, Zion, Valanciunas, and Ingram. Is that enough to be competing for home court advantage? It might get you in the playoffs, but I don't know. Our buddy King Queese just says, with this current roster, they are a 5 to 8 seed at best. I actually agree with that. I think maximum. Thanks for the comment, King. I think at maximum, at like the peak of what New Orleans can do, I believe that they can actually be a 5th seed. I think that there's a lot of truth to that. Now, what does that take? I think that does actually, to be transparent, I do think that might take some injuries. I do think that might take injuries to other teams, I'm saying. So, we already know the Clippers might not have Kawhi for majority of the next year. So I believe that maybe teams will kind of bump up a spot there. How much better is Dallas? We'll have to see their offseason. I think if you're a New Orleans fan, you got to watch Dallas closely, because if Dallas doesn't improve, I don't see Dallas being more than a 5 seed. And maybe I would take New Orleans and Dallas out of those two. Maybe I would lean more New Orleans because, again, Dallas, they have Luka. I understand that. But, like, outside of Luka, can they win a playoff series? Like, I don't know if they have the roster to do it. Yeah, so I totally agree with King Queese. I think 5 to 8 seed at best. I expect them to make the playoffs. New Orleans, I definitely do. I think they might have another kind of trade up their sleeve, but or some signing. Again, I think that's Lowry. If it's not, I wonder what their fallback plan is. Maybe it is just keeping Lonzo, but we'll see. I do want to jump into some rumors here. But also really quickly, let's look at New Orleans' draft situation, their capital moving forward. More favorable. So they do have the Lakers picks like come in 2023 through 25. So yeah, that's they'll get some picks there. They'll obviously move forward there. Super interesting. But they have some draft capital that they can maybe move. Can they trade 3 seconds for like a guy who's like a 6th to 8th man on the roster? Maybe. And we'll go from there. So let's look up some quick. Let's look up some quick rumors here for the Pelicans. And then the next team that we're going to talk about in our next stream is the Sacramento Kings. Talk about De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton and kind of what they can do in the offseason, because I think that's 100% that they're going to make a trade somewhere. All right. Let's go to our rumor mill here. So obviously there's that Pelicans trade with Memphis. The hiring of Willie Green, I think, is also pretty solid. I think he definitely believes, he saw firsthand in Phoenix that Chris Paul worked for Phoenix and kind of helped those younger guys kind of get to the next level. So I think that he can maybe do that again, and maybe help that team, guide that team into a good direction led by a veteran point guard. Grizzlies trade. Brings down. No. Okay, so according to Vecini of The Athletic, sources around the league view the top draft older shooters such as Corey Kispert, Trey Murphy, Chris Duarte as likely targets for the Pelicans at their newly acquired 17th pick. However, there's no guarantee New Orleans even keeps that pick after acquiring it from Memphis. Andrew Lopez of ESPN says that the Pelicans could look to move down again or may shop that selection for veteran help. Maybe. I think the Warriors are kind of having a hard time with getting rid of their 2 picks. So maybe we'll see. Other than that, I haven't heard too much from New Orleans other than that big trade for here we go. Before the Pelicans agreed to the trade with the 10th pick, the Knicks had made an unsuccessful offer involving the 19th and the 21st selections. According to league sources, New York is believed to be focused on Oregon's Chris Duarte. So if they're picking 19th, I mean, they obviously think that Duarte is going to go top 15 then, right? If they're that concerned to try to jump up to 10, I'm going to write that down. Duarte going top. I'm just gonna say lottery ? So that would be something to watch during draft night. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. All right, we're gonna get started on our next stream. It's the Chicago Bulls. Thanks, King Queese, again for the comment. I know you commented on the trade video that I made. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. I see somebody liked it. Hopefully was you. And feel free to comment and join the community. I'm trying to kind of build this thing up a little bit more. But yeah, let's get our next stream started. It will be the Chicago Bulls. That will start in just a moment here.